even know he's talking about economics.
Friggin' amazing people here.
So I am here with Debbie, SaneProgressive. Everybody knows her. Everybody's been saying, "Find Debbie, find Debbie." We're at the anti-war conference. It's a national anti-war conference. Apparently, people are here all over the country, all over the world, actually. So Debbie, what do you think about it? I mean, I've heard you on your channel saying we need something different. We need this kind of anti-war thing. It's not just about economics. It's also war. You got to deal with the war machine if this is something you want to do.
Well,
what do you think?
I think that until we start addressing empire, U.S. empire and imperialism as a core issue, as on par with what we are addressing domestically, we are not going to heal the domestic issues because it's all symbiotic, it's all hand in hand. So you can't be trying to heal these domestic issues and ignore the fact that 50% of our money right off the top goes to war. And then it's far more than that, because if you look at the special appropriations budgets, it's trillions over that. So that puts it up to about 60 to almost 70%. Then you can't ignore the fact that there's $9 million missing from the Pentagon over the past 10 years. So that puts us about 80% of our money going to war or being stolen by war expenditures or agencies within the government. And then we're talking about healing our problem without and ignoring what our country is investing in. So that's
true. I remember what's the guy's name? I can't think of his name. Rumsfeld comes out and says we lost $3.2 trillion. Think about that. Gee, that's amazing.
How do you lose when you drop it on the sidewalk?
What took place for $3.2 trillion, and then the very next day was 9/11. That's essentially what it was. An amazing video. It's online now. You can look at it.
And you do realize that the what was hit in the Pentagon by the plane, or if it was a plane, was that accounting office that lost the money. What a coincidence! Nice. What a coincidence! Nice. They just happened to aim right for it.
All right. So here's the question. Then what do you do? Like, what do you? Clearly, Democrats aren't an answer. Clearly, they're a war party at this point.
Yes.
What do you do? I've heard you rail against Sanders, and I've heard you rail against even the People's Summit to some degree.
Oh, yes.
So what's the solution if that's, and I'm not asking you for, this is my solution to everything. That's not what I'm asking.
I'm going to get my magic wand out.
Right, that's my point. So I'm not asking for that. I guess I'm asking is, if people want to get involved, and they want to say, all right, I want something that I want to do, and I understand that the Democratic Party is not a vehicle, are the other, you would say co-opting, you would say Sanders people are being co-opted.
Oh, yeah, clearly.
So you believe that that's not necessarily a vehicle for any level of change. Is that fair?
Well, I think if you look at what Sanders' actions, I mean, a lot of times people have this conversation, and I find it very strange. They have it around me. And it's very kill the messenger. I am factually pointing out very specific actions that basically indicate that is how he's being used. Yeah. I mean, the Democratic Party establishment, I don't think anybody would argue that the Democratic Party is controlled by the establishment.
No.
They created a specific position for him to be their outreach coordinator.
And
now he is he's being featured on the media that he was blacked out from. I don't think that the media and the Democratic Party are featuring anyone who is going to challenge their power. They're featuring somebody who is making sure that their power is intact. And you see Sanders lying his ass off as the lead spokesman around Russia election interference when there is no evidence of that, and they're ignoring mass election fraud that was perpetuated by the Clinton operatives and the DNC. So these are the factual documented actions. This is not me just saying it. This is the behavior.
I don't think it's you just saying it. And everything you're saying is true. I agree with it. Mm-hmm. Is it possible, however, that Sanders is utilizing that in a way, in this way, when he's being scornful of the party?
Yeah.
That's not exactly. Is it possible that he's doing this in his mind because he believes he can get something accomplished in this particular way, and that the other way
Sanders' motives are really moot. And this is not about liking or disliking Bernie Sanders.
No, I don't think
this is about of what we need to do to be successful, to take power as a people, and to be successful in our goals. And so in order to be successful in our goals, the obstacles are corruption and fraud. And for 40 years, progressive politicians have been utilized in this way. This is not a new strategy. It goes
Right.
back to the Jesse Jackson campaign.
Right.
They can mouth the right policies, and the Democrats will put them up on the stage and feature them and put them up. But they will never challenge the core obstacles, which is the corruption and the fraud and the way that the party acts. So if you really wanted to make that strategy successful, you would have to be holding the party to account in that way.
Right.
Sanders is doing the opposite. He is obfuscating and shielding the fraud. So you can't. It's really about strategy and what's going to work. I really am not vested in Bernie Sanders. I want to move beyond patterns that have been going on for over 4 decades.
No, I agree with you. And I'm not saying it's about Bernie Sanders. And I have seen people do the W is attacking Bernie. I've even seen people do Jamal Thomas is attacking Bernie Sanders. It's kind of just pointing out this. You understand that they gave him $220 million
70.
and never said anything about it. Like, never turned around and said, hey, these guys are cheating me. Even at the People's Summit, people were raising signs and draft Sanders, essentially get out of that party and do something else in that party. So I agree with you on that front. I guess I'm looking at it in his mind. Does he think that Trump is more dangerous? In which case, I feel I need to affiliate with this party. But I am going to put people up to run against establishment. Because understand, for the first time in my lifetime, they're having progressives literally challenge these people in this particular party. I've never seen that. I mean, so I get this idea that Sanders is being used. I agree. But is this thing mutual in the sense of, yes, I'm going to use you, but I'm also going to attack you at the same time? But I think Trump is a larger threat. I'm talking in his head at this point. Put it this way, is it a fair argument? Is there a way to see that from that perception?
Well, from what I see, when we started out before the election occurred, Hillary Clinton had done the things that we fear Trump might.
That's true, yes.
So to even make that rationalization that Hillary Clinton was a lesser of two evils is very debatable, given the fact that under Hillary Clinton, a lot of the left, just like they did with Obama, fell asleep. So we went 2 wars to 8 wars under Obama.
Yeah.
So what is more dangerous? I mean,
I agree with you. I think she's more dangerous. I'm saying, is there a perception from his head, like not so much from an external perception, meaning, is it possible to have a perception in his head, okay, this guy's a wild card, I have no idea what this guy's going to do with this
He's
office.
operating under failed premises. So
Okay,
regardless of whether he's doing it for noble or illicit intent is really moot.
It's moot.
It's really about what is going to be effective, and we have got to break out. And a lot of these discussions are so narrowed on our failed premises.
I agree.
The things that, you talk about we're going to have progressives elected. When I look at what the foundation of what it means to be a progressive anymore, it's like, what does that even mean?
I don't know what it means. Yeah.
It's Sanders, I mean, and forget about just, I don't want to vote for Sanders anymore as a progressive, let alone have him lead a movement.
Yeah.
He voted for a war criminal in Iraq to be the National Defense Secretary. He voted for 2 horrible Trump nominees at the same time that he is saying that we have to oppose everything Trump does, because those nominees were pledge allegiance to the military-industrial war machine and the Department of Homeland Security, the deep state. Those are the very entities that we have to challenge and the powers that we have to challenge if we're going to move beyond this. So it really is, we have to keep it, people become very emotionally attached, I understand that, but we have got to keep it about getting back to foundational premises, challenging what is not working at those levels, and then creating strategy outside of it.
That's fair. Last question. What does that look like in practice?
It looks like personal accountability rather than looking to politicians and outside political structures to create change. It really is going to have to be grassroots, and at this point it needs to be grassroots at an individual level. It needs to be removing, supporting what oppresses us. People, they want to do something, they want to give money, or they want to do a campaign.
Yeah.
You know how powerful it is to shut off your cable, to not pay for it anymore, to remove yourself from the premises of capitalism, which have led to this destructive system, to refuse to support any politician who will deceive to advance illegal war on lives that are destroying the entire world. And to stop making excuses that that's not possible so that you can keep vested in a specific politician because you like this one component. You have to find the basic ethics. When we find the basic ethics of ourselves as a people, we will then be able to unify and move forward, but not until that happens.
I'm sorry, I lied. One more question. One more question. political wilderness. So I've heard people make this thing, we need to be in political wilderness. Does that, for the most part, mean accepting one Republican after the next until something else comes up, meaning whether that's another party, whether the Democratic Party just fundamentally implodes and something else changes? What does it mean from the standpoint of a political vehicle to articulate your legislative will? Meaning those people taking this fundamental basis of integrity. Because those people are going to lose for a very long time until they get it. Because it's just us. I agree with you. I've been on my channel saying scorched earth policy, you should vote for the Democrat. This election with Perriello, Barry was like, vote for Perriello. I vote neither on my ballot and put my ballot into the machine because neither of these people represent my interests. Does that mean that one Republican after the next is going to get elected until something else fundamentally changes?
One Republican after the next is being elected in either party right now because Democrats are doing a lot of times worse than what we think the Republicans are doing, and they are playing, even when the Democrats are doing the right thing, it's the good cop, bad cop game.
Yes.
It really is. And if people are still being taken in because occasionally they'll have a few progressives vote the right way, they are permitted to vote the right way because they are there to manage a very specific sector of the voting population. So what you watch for is in these meaningless votes where they're not going to be the decisive vote and they're just there to keep their credibility with this population so that they can be controlled. That is what you have to understand and learn, and people are still being taken in on that. I mean, it was driving me nuts. Everybody was like, Bernie voted against Russia sanctions. I'm like, Bernie was the lead liar for months to articulate fear so that people would go along with those sanctions. His vote is meaningless in the face of that. So you have to wake up to how they manipulate you so that you can operate outside of it. And it's a mass deprogramming right now.
I agree. After that missile strike, it was an illegal missile strike in Syria. And Sanders came out with a really tepid response. It was like, that strike was illegal. There was no constitutional justification to make that strike. Sanders should have came out and said that strike was illegal.
He also advocated for illegal overthrowing of Assad, who is who is elected by the people and who's actually the only thing right now, the Syrian army and Russia standing between Syria becoming Libya, Syria becoming Iraq, and he featured the White Helmet's propaganda outlet, which is literally tasked with manufacturing lies, utilizing children to manufacture support so that we can kill more children.
That's amazing.
It's got to stop.
Thank you. I appreciate this. Thank you very much.